If your brand belongs in the heart of the yachting world, this is where it happens. Yachting International Radio reaches over 1 million yachting professionals and enthusiasts every month, with 77 million impressions, 220,000 social followers, and 74,000 podcast subscribers. Our hosts are insiders, crew, captains, CEOs, trusted voices shaping the industry. This is targeted, high-impact advertising in a luxury niche. Visit yachtinginternationalradio.com/advertise. Your audience is already listening.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rich as Fuck podcast, the show we talk about money, life, investing, yachting, and all things in between. Today I have the honor of sitting down with Kevin Koenig. He's one of my favorite yacht journalists and runs a really cool Instagram page called the Yacht Fella. Good afternoon. How are you doing, Kev?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Charl.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. You're a busy man, so we won't keep you long. For those that don't know you, tell us a bit about your journey as a writer and journalist within this industry.
I'll give you the dime version. So I had a writing background. My mother was an English teacher. Read a ton as a kid and always loved to write. And I majored. One of my majors in college was English, but they weren't handing out any writing jobs when I got out of school. So I ended up doing everything but writing. I worked in law. That's my first job at a big law firm in New York City. And then I worked at Goldman Sachs, the investment bank, for 3 years in my 20s, and was shown the door there when the economy took a dump in 2008. And then I worked in marketing for a little bit and hated it. But basically, I had all three of those jobs, which are the three things that people from my neck of the woods go into. I hated, and I was bad at them. I either quit or got fired, and it was just not a great fit. And I realized that writing was really the only thing I was going to be able to do professionally. So I was unemployed for about a year, and I randomly applied online to a little magazine called Power and Motor Yacht Magazine. And they, 2 months after I applied, called me back up, and the lady had this thick Ukrainian accent, and she was like, "Oh, you applied to Power and Motor Yacht?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I almost hung up on her. A lovely lady named Lena Kate. She's great. And she, thank God, convinced me to come in and do an interview. And I went in and did an interview with the editor-in-chief and hit it off with him. We had a little Sea Ray growing up, like a 23-footer. So I knew, port from starboard. I knew enough to bullshit my way through an interview. And it went really well. I thought he was going to invite me out for a beer afterwards and hire me, but he didn't. Instead, he sent me a picture of a boat and word boat review by 3 p.m. the next day. And I knew nothing about yachts, not a goddamn thing. But the only builder of big boats that I knew was Viking, which builds in New Jersey, where I'm from. And he sent me a picture of a Viking. It was a Viking 82 and asked me for a sea trowel on it. And so I made this whole thing up, and I knew it was a fast boat from Jersey. So I titled it Born to Run, and I wove in a bunch of Springsteen quotes throughout and hit 1,000 words on the button, 9 a.m. the next morning, handed it in. He hired me. 2 weeks later, I was in the Bahamas testing the fastest jet ski ever built. And 16 years later, here I am.
Wow, that's quite the arc. That's pretty badass. And kind of the universe's way of telling you weren't supposed to work at a place like Goldman Sachs, and hence you caused the recession. So thank you.
Yeah, I fell down the economy myself. That was my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry if you lost any money. I did work in derivatives, so it's quite possible, actually.
That's interesting. The New Jersey background also with very cookie cutter type of careers, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I went to Georgetown, which is, a really good school, and every single person goes into law or finance, pretty much. Probably 75% of the people I graduated with. Some people go try to do good in the world as, working for the State Department or as teachers or whatever. But all my friends, I'm on a group chat with 11 of my college friends who I'm still very close with. And there's me, one other guy's a journalist, and everybody else is a lawyer or works at a hedge fund. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The copy and paste, eh? Okay, now, since you're a journalist and you're the first journalist or professional writer that I've had on the show, so kudos. Talk to me about the importance of authenticity in journalism, especially in the current climate.
Authenticity, or voice, as you would call it, has always been important for writers. If you don't have voice and you haven't developed a voice and a way that people can really identify with you and also be entertained, and then you're not a writer. Are you there?
Yep.
You're not a writer. You're just kind of someone who's putting words on paper. Like having a true voice is the mark of a professional, right? And someone who's talented, and you need that. And that has always been important, but it's becoming especially more important as we delve into this hellscape of AI writing, where all these bozos just put some information in ChatGPT and print it out and send it to people on their resumes or in their Instagram captions or whatever else they're doing, and they think they sound smart, and they actually sound like fucking idiots because it all sounds the same. And it really just tells people that not only do I not have ideas in my head, but if I do have ideas in my head, I can't put them into a cogent formation to allow people to understand what I'm thinking. To me, the second I see somebody has written something using ChatGPT, I say to myself, this guy's an idiot and I'm not paying attention to what he's saying. And I'll tell people that. Like, somebody sent me something recently. Where was it? Oh, some guy solicited me in my DMs and he was trying to get me to do whatever. And I asked him what he thought he could do for me. And he sent me a ChatGPT response. And I was like, I don't deal with people like this. If you didn't take the time to write it, no one should take the time to read it.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. And I must say, I was guilty in the beginning of the boom because it's a powerful tool, it's powerful technology, and there's ways where you can leverage it. But when it comes to the actual writing of things, like use your own voice, use your own authenticity. It's a different thing using AI to help you with your automation, for example, or using it to edit some videos that normally takes you fucking 12 hours and now you can do it in an hour. But unfortunately, because you get on a roll and you try to finish this task within your ChatGPT thread, then it's so easy to just say, hey, why don't you generate a caption for me while we're at it? And that I think is the issue. And it's no longer a novelty. You can see it from a mile away. The short little sentences, the no fluff, no theory.
It's that sentence structure makes me want to blow my brains out. Like, why is that? Why does that exist? I don't get it. It's awful.
Yeah, whatever library they were feeding, where Sam Altman was picking his data from, is a fucking absolute, it's a travesty. Also, what really sucks for you professional writers is, and I've noticed this because I'm also a pretty avid reader, and I used to see that M dashes where it's not a ChatGPT thing.
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah. You talk about that on my page or no?
No, I read because
I love M dashes. Like, I've been using M dashes forever, and like now it's like, oh, like I had some guy in my comments the other day being like, oh, like he read the caption and he was like, I wish people wouldn't use ChatGPT, they just learn how to write. And I was like, did you check my bio at all? Like, and then he was like, oh, well, he was like, I ran it through an AI, whatever it is, search to like sniff out if it's AI writing, right? So he's like, he's really sleuthing me. He's like, and it said you use M dashes and it sounds like a magazine essay and you've packed a lot of information into a very small place. And I was like, yeah, I'm writing a caption on Instagram. I am a magazine essayist. And it's AI is copying me because I use M dashes all the time, and it's wondering, hey, what does a professional writer write like? It's like,
that's so funny. That reminds me of the Spider-Man meme. The three dudes pointing at each other.
There is a meme for that, actually, of like professional writers who use M dashes and AI. It's out there. I posted it in my stories after that guy accused me of being AI.
That's so funny. And for those,
I like harp on it. I clearly like despise it. I think it's awful for more reasons than I could probably go into here, but it's also a very powerful tool. Like I think I'm like living in the Stone Age and like don't use AI or hate every single aspect of it. I don't. I use AI every day. I ask ChatGPT and Perplexity all these questions, and I use it as an advanced Google search. But the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is A, it's a tool. It's not a crutch. And B, you still have to be curious as a person and be inquisitive and ask the right questions and challenge it. And, if you get something and you don't understand it, it's basically just like reading a book or, researching for an essay. If you read something and you don't understand it, you have to figure out what that is. So that's going to end up being like, that could be an infinite search sometimes. You could just keep going until you actually understand something, as opposed to just like having a machine spit out something that may or may not even be accurate. The amount of times that I ask ChatGPT simple questions and Perplexity, simple questions that they get incredible, like wronger than I can make up, And then you have to go back 3 or 4 times and ask the same question and be like, until you get a decent answer. And even then it's like, not great. So
yeah, it's not the hallucinations and the confidence, and quite frankly, the yes man-ness of it is fucking.
Oh yeah, it's so ChatGPT is so sycophanical. And I think they rolled out a new personality this morning. It said when I hopped on it today to do something, and it's talking to it makes me feel gross. So then I moved over to Perplexity, which is like supposed to be more up to date, and I was using that for a while, and that's got 0 personality, which is kind of good. But then like the other day I asked, ICE is obviously a big issue in America right now, and I actually wasn't sure what it stood for. So I kind of knew, but I was like, I asked Perplexity what it stood for, and it said immunigrations, customs, and whatever. I was like, immunigrations?
That is a made up word.
I can't ask another question ever again. Like, you get immunigration from immigration. You know?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, a lot of people don't do the due diligence. They kind of take it as gospel, and we cannot do that in that day and age. It breaks my heart to look at like massive media companies. The other day, I'm a big cricket fan. I used to play cricket, and I was reading an Instagram post of like the recent World Cup results, and the end of the caption literally said, "Want me to do this next?" Like, you don't even fucking bother to copy the right part of the delivered message.
I got an email from a lady like that in Miami. She works for a big luxury company that everybody knows. And she was like turning down a business partner I'd introduced her to. And so like, not only like turning down a deal, but also doing it with ChatGPT and forgetting to take out like, would you like me to use a softer tone? And I was like, oh,
That's shocking, eh?
You know, but it's so bad for that. Because what it does, what it's really doing is turning our brains into vestigial organs, male. It's like, it's bad for that. And then you get into other aspects of it. You know, first of all, the wave of unemployment that's coming is going to turn the world upside down. I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg now. I was listening to the Economist podcast about it last night, and like even they're trying to spin it as somehow positive that like young kids now, like everything's just going to change because like this generation growing up in college now is going to have generative technology for 4 years of school, and they'll be able to get hired because nobody can get hired right now because AI is doing all the jobs of kids coming out of college. And they were like, oh yeah, and then they'll figure out AI and like, then it'll just be the people in middle management who are going to be out of work. And I'm like, well, that's the same fucking thing. That's just like, people my age who have little kids who are going to be unemployed, and like the world's going to be turned upside down. Not to mention, you get into the one that really scares me, since it's the Richest Fuck podcast, I'll just be unfiltered here. The one that really is terrifying. I think the unemployment thing is probably the worst thing. So I think that's going to possibly tear the world apart. Threat. But the grossest thing is the porn aspect. Like, there could be my neighbor right now could have, my 3-year-old daughter in some fucking program where, he could do whatever he wants to her with AI. People don't realize this. Like, it could be me. It's the amount of digital rape that is going to happen because of this technology that is totally unchecked. Like, it's a whole brave new world. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting and galling, and people don't talk about it. Maybe because it's such an uncomfortable subject.
Yeah.
But my God, man, it's so dark,
Yeah, it is. I'm by nature a very true optimist. I really try to see the silver lining. This is one of those things, like I wasn't like old enough to really be affected by the recession. How old are you, Charl? I'm about to turn 30. So I noticed like with my parents, like shit was going down, and it trickled down from the first world into the third world and all that. And I was also too young to understand the .com bubble. I was still eating fucking crayons at that point. But now that I'm an adult in the economy and I follow these AI narratives closely and the developments, and like you said, the unemployment wave, unmatched. And what people don't realize, one of the first things that's getting affected is the job that most people on Earth have, which is driving. AI and robotics, which is propelling this advancement in full self-driving and, these Waymo taxis in San Francisco, whatever, that is going to remove enough jobs to cause cataclysmic collapse, in my opinion. Trucking, then the optimist in me comes with the argument and says, okay, but remember the same happened in the agricultural revolution when there was tractors. Then suddenly people were like, no one is left to plow the lands. But then they get other jobs. Same with the industrial revolution. You build a factory, you remove the line workers, but then they get positions in management. This is the first time we have a technology where the white collars and the top dogs are getting shafted and getting replaced. And I think that's what feels so scary, because the trickle down after that.
It's not the top dogs either. So that's part of the danger as well. This is probably maybe a third rail subject for someone who writes about people who own 300-foot boats, but dogs are going to be fine. It's the people down the line. Like this technology, the people that own the AI technology are only going to see profits grow until below them have no money to buy their product with. But that income disparity gap, which is, I think, even some of the yacht owners that I talk to and people that are worth hundreds of millions and billions of dollars are starting to understand the income disparity in America, the world. I see it, I'm more close to it in America. Like, it's not sustainable. Like, you can't have, the billionaires from 2020 to 2026. I mean, the numbers have become like funny money. In 2020, there were a couple people worth 20 billion or whatever, maybe, 1 or 2 centimillionaires. And now like Elon Musk is approaching $1 trillion. Yeah. And these fortunes are going up by like insane numbers. And it's great if you work for Ocean Co. or if you're a broker at Cecil Wright or you're me, I profit from it. It's good for me, but on a macro level, it's really bleak. Like something's going to change. I don't know what it's going to be though.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's funny. I think the most safe occupation in the world right now is being a deckhand on a super yacht. It's gonna take a while.
I talked to people who are saying that the end goal within like 10 or even 15 years is to have like a sailboat like Koru where you can push a button and it's self-sailing and sell the whole thing.
Yes, then people like, it's fine because we'll get like universal basic income and like everyone will just be out in the fields.
That has never worked.
It's never worked.
During COVID, we're giving people $300 checks every week and the whole fucking economy crashed. We're still dealing with the inflation. The people that say in UBI, we're just going to give people money. How does that work? That does not work. That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. I have not heard a single person. It just sounds like someone like putting a Band-Aid on a stupid person's cut where they're like, oh, that'll fix it. Yeah. It's like, it's UBI. Back there are people out there like, oh yeah, we'll just give you free money and that'll fix the economy. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, there's countless examples, and that's not even touching on the fact that you remove people's purpose. Like a lot of people, unfortunately, their purpose is attached to their work. And if they don't have something to wake up for and be like, today I'm going to be an honest man, I'm going to do an honest job, and I'm going to pay for my family. Like now you're just like handouts. And if it comes easily, it goes easily. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. It's the purpose thing is a big deal. And that's not going to like people aren't just going to go like collect berries and like picnic in the park and stuff like that and draw. Not even going to draw because all the art, all the creative stuff is done by AI now too. Like it's
and people aren't even going to be making porn anymore because you can just AI generate that too. So there's no fun about it. It's like no fun in anything about this.
Yeah, there's going to be a rash of suicides. I think that like we've never seen before once this stuff really kicks in because it's going to remove purpose from life, not to mention income. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, pivoting to lighter things. Thank you for diving into this topic with me, though, because people are too scared to talk about this shit. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I like, I talk about boats all day long, so I'm always happy to talk about it. Well, I am the Yacht Fella. We should probably talk about.
Yeah. So away from journalism for a second. So brokerage. What is the state of yacht brokerage? And also, how can crew looking for an exit start getting their toes dipped into that side of the industry?
Brokerage right now, it kind of like we touched on earlier, the upper echelons are going Cucamonga. If you're Edmiston and you're selling $1 billion worth of boats in a week or whatever they did after the Monaco show, like things are great. And that's because guys are making, their fortunes jump from 14 billion to 100 billion within a couple of years. Poor millionaires are getting kind of squeezed, from my understanding and what I've seen. I don't have any data to back this up, so this is all my own opinion, but the guys in the 80 to 120 foot range are really getting squeezed these days. I work with those builders and I see their marketing budgets drying up left and right. People that used to spend with me in certain capacities are like now like, oh, we don't have, this much money. And it's not that much money. It's like, that part of the market, I think, could use a little bump. And I don't know what's going to do it. I mean, it's all cyclical. It'll come back, I'm sure. But yeah, that's probably the breakdown. As for crew, say that second part of the question again.
So if I have lots of crew members reach out to me frequently about exit strategies, and a lot of them ask about brokerage and how, as an active crew member, you can proactively start dipping your toes into that realm.
I don't know how you would dip your toe into that realm while being crew, but I guess, if you know brokers, you somebody who's successful, which is a big key. You don't want to like hit your cart, with, the Pareto principle.
Yeah, 80-20.
Yeah, 80-20. With brokerage, I think it's more like 90-10, if not even worse than that. So you don't want to hit your cart to one of the 90%. But if you know somebody who's really selling boats and doing good things, buy them a beer, buy them lunch, get a coffee, start to foster that relationship when you're, at Rybovich or wherever you are, and talk to that guy and try to, pick his brain. I hate the phrase pick his brain, but that's really what you kind of need to do when you're trying to get into a new industry. Form a relationship with him. If you know a guy at Burgess or wherever, form that relationship and then try to get in. Normally, before you get to those big houses, you'd have to start it at a smaller brokerage, but that's not always the case. If you're like a captain or whatever, you can pop over to one of those big houses, I think, pretty easily. And what I would say to crew is that you should always have that exit strategy because the crew life is great. You got no expenses. You're traveling the world. There's like beautiful 25-year-olds everywhere you go, and life's great, but life's not a party, and you don't want to hit that like 30-ish. So for not to be sexist, but for girls it's a little younger. I'd say for girls like 30, and for guys like definitely 35. You want to be out and on land and doing something with your skills. Some people are crew their whole lives and they're very happy with it, and especially if they're climbing up and they become captains, and that's a whole deal. But a captain's life, I don't think is particularly easy for anybody's standards. I think at some point you want to get off the boat. You've had your adventures and your fun in your 20s and get back to dry land and sell boats or whatever it is. I know a chef who runs a really successful catering business for her former clients and things like that. Just be creative. I mean, Bugsy Drake has a ton of different businesses that she's been able to get out of it. She's still crewing, but shout out Bugsy. She's got a great Instagram page. And it's just like, if it was my son, I would not tell him not to crew because I think that'd be a really interesting thing if that was something he wanted to do, although I know it's really hard work, but always have an exit plan and be thinking about that exit plan all the time so you don't miss your date. There's a short window on it, right?
Yeah, it's a very important point you make there. And that's kind of that whole pain point was the whole genesis of what I'm building and trying to achieve, is just to, at least in the financial sense of things, just to help educate crew a bit better in stacking away these hard-earned acorns while we're working. Because as you alluded to earlier, with the low expenses and the nomad lifestyle and the pretty girls, like you very easily fall in the lifestyle creep trap, because we see what the owners spend. You see that captain just bought a Rolex while we're in port, and you're like, okay, well, remember, the captain's been doing it for a few years and he makes a lot more fucking money than you. You are a deckhand earning $3,000 a month, and why are you paying for bottle service? Right. It happens all the time. It breaks my heart, especially you've seen a lot of the industry are young South Africans. It's been a very good way for us to get out of the things that are happening socioeconomically back home. But no one gets educated, and suddenly you go from being shit poor from a tiny farmer's village to making a $5,000 charter tip in Monaco. And there's no bridge. So I'm trying to provide that and tell people, hey, take care of yourself. Your money invested today is worth a lot more in a couple of years' time. So yeah, that's a good point on brokerage. Tell me, what makes a good broker?
Diligence, trustworthiness, deep relationships. Those are probably the three that come to mind right away. I think a lot of brokers are the same way. Like, they get that, they hang out with the owners, and they get fast money when they sell a boat, and then they blow it on a watch or a car, and they live these lifestyles that maybe they feel like they've earned. And that's hard. I was talking to a broker yesterday who crushes it, and we were talking about this a little bit. He was like, yeah, like people see that I've sold these big boats, and he had a great year, but he was like, they don't see the years before where I didn't sell anything, and you have to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Broker, you get that fast money because you got to stock a little bit away. You got to be diligent, especially if you're charter and sales, I think, but certainly with charter, because you have so many different leads that you're working with at any given time. Like, I don't know how those guys do it with their spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of work following up with people, and you just got to keep at it. Like, hit them up every 6 weeks and see where their head's at as far as charters. And then I think just the guys that really do well, like really just understand the industry. It's like anything else. Anybody else who's successful, they're always learning. They're always talking to people. I do jiu-jitsu, and there's a thing in jiu-jitsu called a white belt mentality, where like, even if you're a black belt or a world champion or whatever, if you keep this white belt mentality where like you could learn anything from anyone, and you keep asking questions and not let your ego make your knowledge rigid in your head. Do you know George St. Pierre? Do you follow MMA at all?
Yes.
Yeah, George St. Pierre is arguably the greatest fighter that's ever lived on planet Earth, and he's a big proponent of white belt mentality. He'll ask a guy who started 6 months ago, like, oh, how'd you hit that move? Like, what did you do differently? I'm sure he probably knows already, but it's a good thing to keep in mind. And I think the brokers that are successful are the ones that are just asking questions and meeting new people constantly, and then just creating this larger and larger web of relationships and knowledge.
So as a broker, you obviously get to go on some pretty epic vessels, and I've seen some videos and captions and stuff you've made on Instagram. What are some of the favorite ones you've ever been on?
Well, I should be clear. I'm not a broker. I'm a journalist, and I run a brokerage consultancy where I help people figure out, where they might want to go on their charters, and I hook them up with different brokers who I trust and who might be a good fit for them, because that's a big deal. If you're new to the industry or you're sick of your broker and, you want to find somebody, you don't want to be, it's a big expenditure. So you don't want to be just fishing around hoping you get one of these guys who are, like I said, in the 10% of people who actually do things. And there's different personalities. Some brokers are pit bulls and kind of assholes, but they're successful, and some owners like that. And then there's guys who are just genuinely nice guys, and there are some owners, believe it or not, who are actually generally nice guys. So like, you want to. But yeah, I do get on a lot of boats, from big and small. From anywhere. I've been on boats from 25 feet up to 400 feet in the past year. So the question was, what's the coolest thing I saw? Or
favorite yacht you've ever been on? No size determinant, nothing. Just what blew your mind?
Well, favorite and blew my mind are two different things. Blew my mind is an easy one. Is Kismet. I think is just even very seasoned industry people will tell you that Kismet is just insane. She's 400 foot Larson, owned by Shahid Khan, who sells truck bumpers in America. There's a lot of money in car parts. A lot of these are owned by people who sell around the automotive industry, not just selling cars, but like parts like that, bumpers and, WeatherTech mats and things like that. That boat is insane. So like, I have little kids, so we're always watching Aladdin, right, at Disney movies, but Aladdin comes to mind. And in the beginning of Aladdin, if some of you guys will recall, there's like it's a sphinx or a lion or something in the desert, and they walk into its mouth, and there's just treasure like strewn all over the place with no real rhyme or reason, just like rubies and gold and diamonds and crowns and all this stuff. And that's kind of what Kismet feels like. It's almost like a chaos of wealth. Like there's all sorts of different designers and materials, and like everything is just exquisite, but like there's just so much going on that it's overwhelming for the senses, I think. So that is mind blowing boat. And my favorite is a loaded question. One of my favorite boats, or my favorite sea trial of all time, was Palm Beach 55. Do you know Palm Beach?
Yes, I've seen them.
Yeah, Palm Beach Motor Yachts. They're an Australian company that build in Asia. And they're down east. I think they're probably like Hinckley's biggest competitor. And that boat, A is beautiful. I think the proportions on it are excellent. And I had it in the Coral Sea about 8 or 9 years ago now. And I tested a couple other boats that day. It was rough. I mean, the waves were 8 or 9 feet, I'd say. They were up over the wheelhouse. And the two other boats just got the snot knocked out of them. They could not. And they're good builders like that. They're good builders that build those boats. I like them, but they just couldn't handle it. And the Palm Beach was like a duck. Like my handwriting didn't even change in my notes that I was taking, as I was so impressed. So I think it's a beautiful boat with a great hull. People say they're a little wet in the back, but that doesn't bother me too much. From my neck of the woods in Connecticut, like, if I had a place in the Hamptons and I was switching between Greenwich and the Hamptons, Palm Beach would be up there. If you're a little flashier, maybe a Vanquish. Vanquishes are cool boats as well. I like the smaller boats. Smaller boats are way more fun. That's where I cut my teeth in the industry too. That's where I did the majority of my career, was with boats under 120 feet. And I'm trying to think of other what's the one? Pink Shadow, as far as mega yachts, is just such a cool boat. Oh my God. The Mark Tucker interior, it's all like a Tahitian lounge. It's a 208-foot Diamond, I think. I forget how big. It's a Sea Explorer.
Yeah, they build cool boats.
They build lots of boats. You go around the world. If I had the money to buy a proper yacht like that, I'd be buying an Explorer yacht for sure. And I wouldn't be in the Med or the Caribbean. I'd be down in the South Pacific surfing.
No.
To Norway to go heli skiing or stuff like that. For 100%, that's where I'd be.
Yeah, fuck. I cannot understand like these. I've worked on many dual season boats, and I just don't understand. If you have all this money and you can buy any boat that can go fucking anywhere, why do you go to St. Bart's or Monaco? Why do you go to a caravan park for rich people? That is the question.
Yeah, they're all stuck in the same room. I wrote about this the other day when some of the issues that brokers come up with when they're trying to sell these boats is like, and I said, all the owners of these boats think they're the smartest guy in the room. The problem is they're all sitting in the same room. They're all, and I suppose it's probably just, they do it, one, to show off, but two, because like their social circle is so limited, like they probably just feel more comfortable around people that can spend money. Whereas, if it's just you and your 12 pack of people that you bring to Tahiti, you better like those people a lot. I don't know. It's got to be a status thing, man. I think that's probably it's mostly just status.
Yeah, and I think it's probably nice for them to know they're in a room with people that don't necessarily need their money. I see frequently with these guys, they never really know who their friends are. Lots of leeches around.
It's why actors marry actresses in Hollywood. It's a weird niche thing, and they can kind of understand it a little bit better than someone else. So that's probably why.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Well, that's our time. I really appreciate you coming on. I had a fun chat. You're a cool guy. You're an interesting guy. And before I let you go, how can people get hold of you and find your page?
Go to Instagram at the Yacht Fella, Fella. Shoot me a DM. I try to answer all of them. And I hope you guys found this informative and entertaining.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, dude. Have a good rest of your week.
Thanks for having me on, Charles. Take care.